Even with my eyes closed, I can still clearly hear the roar of heavy-duty tracks crushing the asphalt. The sound is muffled and domineering, as if it could shatter the very earth. 100 armored vehicles, emblazoned with the imposing emblem of a black eagle, tear through the night like a pack of steel beasts unleashed from hell. They savagely smash through the $1 million wrought iron gate of the lavish estate. My brother, Julian Sterling, stands amidst the wreckage, a vision in a tailored black trench coat. His combat boots crunch on the shattered marble, each step a crisp, deadly pronouncement. The barrel of his gun still smokes. A moment ago, that gun had barked, and the bullet had precisely shattered Ethan Hayes's knee. The hand that touched her, Julian's voice is colder and more biting than a Siberian wind. Let's rewind 30 minutes. Get into the private cold storage room in the villa. Ethan's voice is devoid of any warmth. His handsome face, which once captivated me, is now etched with only harshness and impatience. One hand is thrust into the pocket of his trousers. The other points towards the heavy, metal door of the cold storage, its surface gleaming with a chilling light. I am wearing only a thin, silk nightgown, my bare feet standing on the frigid tiles, shivering uncontrollably. Ethan, You what? He cuts me off brutally, his brow furrowed in a deep scowl, as if the mere sight of me is a form of torture. Sophia said she wants the freshest Arctic sweet shrimp. They're on the innermost shelf. Don't you pride yourself on being a devoted housewife? Can't you even handle such a small task? Sophia, the actress currently basking in the limelight, is also the woman who holds Ethan's heart. At this moment, she is perched in his arms like a triumphant peacock, her red-nailed fingertips tracing circles on his chest. Her gaze towards me is filled with provocation and contempt. "Oh, big sister, you'll have to trouble yourself," she coos, her voice sickeningly sweet. Ethan is just worried about me. A pregnant woman's cravings are always a bit particular. Not like you, sister. You're so strong, you don't mind the cold. I instinctively clutch my abdomen. A small, budding life, not yet 3 months old, is nestled there. This is my last hope. I thought this child could reawaken the last shred of warmth in Ethan's heart. "Ethan, I'm pregnant." I muster my courage, my voice trembling slightly from the cold. A flicker of surprise crosses Ethan's face, but it is quickly replaced by an even deeper loathing. "Pregnant?" he scoffs, as if he's heard the world's most ludicrous joke. "Eleanor, to stay by my side, you're becoming more and more shameless. You can even cook up a lie like this." Sophia immediately chimes in, feigning a gentle touch to her own belly, her face a mask of blissful victimhood. "Ethan, don't blame my sister. She's probably just jealous of me. The doctor said I'm having a boy, the future heir to the Hayes fortune. It's only natural for her to feel a little unbalanced." Ethan's expression softens instantly. He leans down and kisses Sophia's forehead. When he looks at me again, his eyes are as cold as ice. "Did you hear that? Sophia is carrying my son. Now get in there. Don't be an eyesore and upset Sophia." In that moment, my heart, along with the tiles beneath my feet, turns to ice. I stop arguing. I silently turn and push open the heavy door of the cold storage. A blast of white, frosty air rushes out, instantly enveloping me. The bone-chilling cold makes me shudder. I take a deep breath and step inside. The door, which separates two worlds, slams shut behind me with a deafening thud. Then, the sharp click of the metal lock echoes in the small space. I am locked in. The cold storage is pitch black, the only sound the monotonous hum of the cooling fan overhead. The temperature, a frigid -40 degrees, feels like 1,000 invisible needles piercing my skin, seeping into my very bones. I hug myself, my teeth chattering uncontrollably. Every breath I exhale condenses into a white mist. I grope along the wall and find the innermost shelf. There, I find a few boxes of imported sweet shrimp. I grab one and stumble back to the door, pounding on it with all my might. "Ethan, I found it! Open the door! Please, open the door!" My voice echoes in the confined space, sounding hollow and weak. Faintly, I can hear Ethan and Sophia's laughter from outside. "Ethan, look at her. Doesn't she look like a pathetic bug trapped in a refrigerator? Her shouting is so grating. Ignore her. Let her cool off in there. A hen that can't lay eggs dares to play games with me. Ethan's voice is full of contempt. Give her half an hour. See if she dares to talk back to me again. Only half an hour? Sophia's voice has a venomous, syrupy quality. I heard that low temperatures can unlock a person's potential. Why don't we help my sister out? Then, I hear the sound of shattering glass. It seems the thermostat outside the door has been smashed. The fan above me roars to life with increased power, and the temperature in the cold storage plummets even further. The biting cold makes it almost impossible to breathe. My vision begins to blur, snowflakes dancing in the darkness before my eyes. My body grows heavier and heavier. I slide down the icy door and curl into a ball on the floor. Just as I think I am about to die, a faint red light in the corner of the cold storage catches my last shred of attention. It is a security camera. Aiden, my son. Meanwhile, in the second-floor security room of the villa, my 10-year-old son, Aiden, is perched on a small stool, his small face pressed against the cold screen. He watches the monitor as his mother curls up on the floor, her body already covered in a thin layer of frost. For the first time, a Taltianjanu Tautianzinu, a towering rage, ignites in his usually calm, dark eyes. He doesn't cry. He doesn't run to get help like a normal child. He calmly slides off the stool, drags a taller chair to the main console, and clambers on top. His small, chubby fingers fly across the complex holographic interface with a calmness and precision that belies his age. He forcibly severs the internal circuits and quietly accesses an encrypted satellite communication channel. The language on the interface changes rapidly in his hands. SOS, codename Snow Falcon. Life signs critical. Position Sterling City. Uncle, come and save Mom. Execute cleansing protocol. German. SOS, codename Phoenix. In mortal danger. Position Villa A. Uncle, come and save Mom. Execute cleansing protocol. French. SOS, codename Winter Phoenix. Mortal danger. Location, a city. Uncle, come save Mom quickly. Execute cleansing protocol. Russian, English. Finally, he switches back to English and types the last line with his small fingers. Uncle, Mommy is dying. The green light indicating a successful transmission flashes. Only then does Aiden slide off the chair. He walks to the monitor and gently caresses my frozen face on the screen. In a voice only he can hear, he says, one word at a time, Father, you deserve to die. In the living room, the $1 million Bang & Olufsen sound system is playing a melodious classical piece. Ethan sips a glass of Romane Conti, swirling the deep red liquid elegantly. Sophia, like a docile cat, nestles in his arms, enjoying the warmth of the fireplace and her lover's undisguised affection. Ethan, do you think sister will get frostbite in there? Sophia asks with feigned concern, her eyes glinting with schadenfreude. Ethan chuckles, takes a sip of his wine, his face a mask of arrogant control. Don't worry, she's tough. She's just getting a little lesson on who's the boss in this house. In another 10 minutes, I guarantee she'll come out and kneel at my feet, begging for my forgiveness. He has grown too accustomed to my submissiveness. For the past 10 years, for Aiden, for this seemingly perfect family, I have hidden my true self, transforming into a gentle, harmless housewife. I have been obedient, following his every command, so much so that he has deluded himself into thinking that I, Eleanor Sterling, cannot live without him, Ethan Hayes. You really know how to handle her, Sophia coos, offering him a kiss. Unlike me, I just feel sorry for you, darling. You. Ethan is about to say something when he frowns, a sense of unease creeping over him. The marble floor beneath his feet seems to be vibrating slightly. At first, the vibration is faint, like a heavy truck passing in the distance. But soon, it grows stronger, more intense. He looks down at his wine glass and sees clear ripples on the surface of the red liquid. What's going on? An earthquake? Sophia senses it too, her voice laced with panic as she clutches Ethan's arm. Ethan puts down his wineglass and walks to the massive floor-to-ceiling window, his face grim. The night outside is dark, But in the distance, countless blinding white lights are converging on the villa, accompanied by a thunderous roar of engines that grows louder and closer. That is not the sound of trucks. It is the roar of a convoy of heavy machinery. Just then, the old butler stumbles in from outside, his usually composed face contorted with unprecedented terror. He has forgotten all his manners. "Mr. Hayes, sir, it's terrible," he gasps, pointing a trembling finger outside. Outside. Outside is full of. What are you panicking about? Ethan barks, trying to maintain his composure. Has the sky fallen? Speak clearly. What's outside? It's the army. No, it's scarier than the army. It's all tanks. The butler finally manages to shout, his voice filled with a soul-shattering fear. Tanks? Ethan and Sophia are stunned. They almost think the old butler has gone senile. This is Sterling City's most exclusive gated community, with security tighter than a fortress. How could there be tanks here? But before the smirk on their faces can fully form, a deafening crash shatters their reality. The villa's outer wall, made of special tempered glass, along with the load-bearing columns behind it, is instantly obliterated by an unstoppable force. Countless shards of glass and concrete explode inwards, tearing through expensive handmade carpets and custom furniture. Amidst the billowing dust and smoke, a massive, menacing steel beast barges into the opulent living room. It is a pitch-black, wheeled armored vehicle, its sharp, angular lines exuding a murderous aura. It bears no national flag, only a stenciled emblem of a black eagle with outstretched wings, painted in a dark, blood red. The black cannon on its roof, after smashing through the wall, slowly swivels and comes to a stop, its muzzle aimed directly at Ethan's head. Ethan is frozen in place, his mind a complete blank. Every cell in his body is paralyzed by sheer terror. He watches in horror as the armored vehicle stops, and more armored vehicles, like a steel torrent, pour in through the breach, filling the entire front yard. The vehicle's headlights and searchlights all turn on, illuminating the mansion as bright as day. In a flash, dozens of mercenaries in black tactical gear, wearing helmets and carrying assault rifles, leap from the vehicles like ghosts. They swiftly and efficiently clear the entire first floor. Their tactical proficiency far surpasses any special forces unit Ethan has ever seen. Sophia has long since collapsed to the floor, letting out a piercing scream before her eyes roll back and she faints. The butler and a few servants are huddled in a corner, trembling, not daring to lift their heads. The entire operation takes less than 30 seconds. This palace, a symbol of Ethan Hayes' power and status, has been completely taken over by an unknown armed force. Ethan finally snaps out of his shock, the terror quickly replaced by a furious rage at being violated. He is, after all, a man of considerable standing. He cannot believe that anyone would dare to do this to him on his own turf. Who are you people? He roars at the armored vehicle, his voice a mixture of anger and fear. Do you know whose house this is? This is breaking and entering. This is a crime. I'm calling the police. I'll have you all rot in jail. No one answers him. The only response is the creak of the first armored vehicle's hatch opening. A figure leaps down from the vehicle with a calm and unhurried grace. It is an incredibly handsome man, who looks to be in his early 30s. A well-tailored black trench coat accentuates his tall, imposing figure. He wears no tactical gear, only a pair of pristine combat boots that crunch on the debris-strewn floor. Each step seems to land on Ethan's heart. He has a face that is 7 parts similar to mine, but his deep-set eyes hold a sharp, glacial glint that I have long since lost. He surveys the wrecked living room, his gaze finally settling on Ethan's face, which is twisted with anger and fear. He doesn't even deign to look at Ethan directly, his expression that of someone looking at an insignificant ant in his path, filled with pure, unadulterated indifference. "Julian," I whisper, a wave of warmth washing over my fading consciousness the moment I see him. I know I am saved. The man is my brother, Julian Sterling, the current head of Sterling Industries, and in the underworld of Northern Europe, he is known as the Living Devil. He ignores Ethan's ranting and walks straight through the living room, his hawk-like eyes quickly locking onto the closed door of the cold storage. "Blow it," he says, his voice a low growl, without even turning his head. A mercenary immediately steps forward, takes a block of C4 from his tactical backpack, skillfully attaches it to the door lock, sets the detonator, and quickly retreats. Ethan is completely stunned by this display. He screams, "Are you crazy? You'll blow up the whole house." Julian finally turns his head slowly and looks at him directly for the first time. His eyes hold no anger, no murderous intent, only a bottomless void. As if he is looking at a dead thing, a faint, cruel smile touches his lips. "If it's blown up, we'll just build another one." Before his words have even faded, a muffled explosion rips through the air. The cold storage door, made of special steel and capable of withstanding bullets, along with the surrounding wall, is instantly blown to smithereens. A thick, white, frosty mist billows out from the opening. Julian is the first to rush in. A few seconds later, he walks out, carrying me in his arms. At this moment, my entire body has turned a terrifying shade of bluish-purple. My lips are black, and a thin layer of white frost has formed on my eyebrows and hair. My body is stiff, my breathing so shallow it's almost undetectable. I look like a corpse that has just been taken out of an ice coffin. The moment Julian sees me in this state, something inside his usually calm eyes shatters. An indescribable, world-destroying violence erupts from him. The temperature in the living room seems to drop even lower than the cold storage. He carefully hands me to the medic who has followed him in, then slowly turns and walks towards Ethan, one step at a time. The terrifying aura emanating from Julian sends a wave of fear through Ethan, causing him to stumble backwards until his back hits the cold armored vehicle, with nowhere else to run. "You. Don't come any closer," Ethan stammers, his voice now a whimper. "I'm warning you. I'm the CEO of Hayes Corporation, a major taxpayer in this city. If you dare to touch me, the government won't let you get away with it." Julian stops in front of him. He raises his hand, as if to straighten Ethan's tie, which has been knocked askew in his panic. Ethan, thinking his threat has worked, is about to breathe a sigh of relief when Julian's hand suddenly grabs his hair and viciously slams his head against the hard body of the armored vehicle. A dull thud echoes through the room. Ethan's forehead splits open, and blood streams down his face, staining his expensive white shirt. The intense pain and humiliation make him scream. He has completely lost his mind. "Who the hell are you? What gives you the right to do this to me?" Julian doesn't answer him. He pulls out a military-grade pistol from his belt and, without a moment's hesitation, brutally smashes the butt of the gun into Ethan's face. The sickening crunch of his nasal bone breaking is audible. Ethan collapses to the floor like a limp rag doll, clutching his face and wailing in agony. "What gives me the right?" Julian slowly crouches down, using the barrel of his gun to lift Ethan's bloodied face. "I'm her brother," he says, each word dripping with venom. "As for you," Julian's eyes sweep over to the fainted Sophia in the corner, his voice devoid of any emotion. "Throw her into that cold storage. Set the temperature to the lowest setting. She'll stay in there for twice as long as my sister did." Two mercenaries immediately step forward and drag the unconscious Sophia like a sack of garbage into the dark, frosty hole. "And you." Julian stands up, kicking Ethan with the toe of his boot. "Hang him from the front of that vehicle. Drag him through the main streets of the city for 10 miles. "Yes, boss." Hearing this, Ethan is scared out of his wits. He ignores the pain in his face and scrambles to grab Julian's boot, tears and snot streaming down his face as he begs for mercy. "No, please, don't. I was wrong. I was really wrong. For Eleanor's sake, please spare me this one time." A flicker of emotion finally appears in Julian's eyes. It is a mixture of pity and extreme cruelty. "Spare you?" He laughs softly. "No, I won't let you die. I'll let you live. I want you to watch, with your own eyes, how you lose everything you have." He waves his hand, and several mercenaries immediately bind Ethan's hands with thick chains. Ignoring his cries and struggles, they suspend him like a trophy from the cold bumper of the lead vehicle. The engines roar to life again, and the steel torrent begins to recede, leaving behind a devastated villa and a chilling command that echoes in the night. "Notify everyone. From today onwards, Hayes Corporation and everything associated with it ceases to exist. 3 days later, my consciousness slowly resurfaces from a bottomless abyss of ice. I slowly open my heavy eyelids, and instead of the cold darkness, I am greeted by a soft, warm, cream-colored light. The faint smell of disinfectant mixed with a high-end aromatherapy scent fills my nostrils. I am lying on an incredibly soft, large bed, covered with a light and warm down comforter. The room is spacious and bright, and outside the window is a clear blue sky and a neatly manicured lawn. This is clearly not any hospital in the city. "Mommy, you're awake," a young voice says beside me. I turn my head and see Aiden. He is sitting on a nearby sofa, a tablet in his lap, his small face filled with concern. When he sees me awake, he immediately jumps off the sofa and runs to my bedside, reaching out a small hand to gently touch my cheek. "Aiden," I say, my voice hoarse. He takes my hand, his usually calm eyes now glistening with tears. On the other side of the room, Julian is standing with his back to me, peeling an apple by the window. He peels it with intense concentration, his knife moving with precision. The long peel a continuous, unbroken spiral. Hearing my voice, he pauses for a moment, then turns around. "You're awake," he says, his voice back to its usual calm, but the lingering worry in his eyes betrays his emotions. "The doctor said if you had been brought in 10 minutes later, not even a miracle could have saved you." I look at him, then at the mountains of get-well gifts from dignitaries and celebrities from around the world piled up in the room, a mixture of feelings welling up inside me. "Julian, thank you. We're family, we don't say such things," he says, cutting the peeled apple into small pieces and handing it to me on a silver fork. "Eat something first." I shake my head, having no appetite. My mind is filled with Ethan's cold face and Sophia's venomous smile. "What happened to Ethan?" I ask, my voice a low growl. Julian's eyes turn cold. "Just a flesh wound. You let him go?" I can't believe it. With my brother's personality, Ethan should be dead or at least have lost a layer of skin. Julian gives a faint grunt, placing the apple on the bedside table. "I was going to snap his neck. But letting you watch him lose everything with your own eyes. Wouldn't that be letting him off too easy?" I fall silent. Yes, letting him die would be too easy. I want him to live in a despair more painful than death. "Julian," I lift my head and meet his gaze. My eyes, once filled with gentleness and compromise, now burn with a cold, fiery flame. "Don't let him die too quickly. I want to personally take back everything that is mine. No, I want to take it back with interest." A gratified smile finally appears on Julian's stoic face. "Now that's my sister," he says, ruffling my hair, his voice filled with affection. "Go ahead and do what you want. The entire Sterling family is behind you. However you want him to die, he will die." Meanwhile, in the VIP ward of Sterling City General Hospital, Ethan Hayes also regains consciousness. He sits up abruptly, a sharp pain shooting through his body, making him gasp. His head is wrapped in thick bandages, his nose is in a cast, and his body is covered in scrapes and bruises from being dragged. He looks like a complete wreck. Where am I?" he asks, looking around in a daze, his eyes filled with fear. His assistant, who is standing guard by his side, quickly comes over. "Mr. Hayes, you're awake. You've been in a coma for 3 days. This is the hospital." 3 days? Ethan's memory begins to return. The apocalyptic scene from that night, the cold muzzle of the cannon, the devil-like figure of that man, it all comes flooding back, making him shudder uncontrollably. "Those people. Have they been caught? Did you call the police?" he asks eagerly. The assistant's face is pale. He hesitates for a moment before answering carefully. "Mr. Hayes, what happened that night was very strange. We called the police, but they said they couldn't find any clues. All the surveillance cameras around the villa were out for that 1 hour. Even the surveillance footage from the main road where you were dragged has disappeared. It's as if nothing ever happened." "Nothing ever happened?" Ethan is stunned. He touches the wounds on his face, the burning pain, a stark reminder that it was all real. "How could there be no clues?" To be able to do something like this in Sterling City, that force. A terrifying thought flashes through his mind. Could it be that Eleanor, that woman, really has some unknown, powerful background? No, impossible. The thought is immediately dismissed. He would rather believe in ghosts than believe that the woman he could summon and dismiss at will could have such power. He begins to search for a reasonable explanation for what happened that night, one that he can accept. He suddenly remembers something, and his eyes light up. Actors! That's right, they must have been actors. He mutters to himself, as if trying to convince himself. That bitch Eleanor, she must have hired some special effects team from Hollywood, rented some prop cars, and put on a show to scare me. This explanation sounds utterly absurd, but it perfectly caters to Ethan's inflated ego. He is a man who cannot tolerate things happening outside of his control. He cannot accept being crushed by a woman he has always looked down upon with absolute power. Yes, that must be it, he says, becoming more and more convinced of his own theory. She just wants to scare me, to make me not dare to divorce her, so she can continue to live a life of luxury in the Hayes family. That manipulative, cunning woman. The assistant, standing by, is dumbfounded, but he dares not to object. He can only agree with Ethan. Mr. Hayes, you're brilliant. That must be it. A penniless orphan. Where would she get such a force? With his assistant's validation, the fear and doubt in Ethan's heart are completely replaced by anger and contempt. Damn it, she dares to play me. He slams his fist on the hospital bed, the movement pulling at his wounds and making him grimace in pain. I thought she had grown some backbone, but it turns out she still only knows how to use these cheap tricks. His eyes gleam with a ruthless light. She thinks she can scare me with this? Dream on. The more she does this, the more I'll make her suffer a miserable death. He immediately gives an order to his assistant, release a statement saying that Eleanor has gone mad and has run away from home. Also, in 3 days, hold a charity gala at the Sterling City International Convention Center. I want to announce my engagement to Sophia in front of all the city's elites. I want her to see with her own eyes how the position of Mrs. Hayes, which she tried so hard to protect, is taken by another woman. He will use his own methods, on his own turf, to reclaim the face he lost that night, with interest. He thinks this is just a ridiculous spat between a husband and wife, a prelude to his triumphant return. He doesn't know that in that moment, with that decision, he has personally sounded the death knell that will lead him to hell. 3 days later, the Sterling City International Convention Center is ablaze with lights, a gathering of the city's most prominent figures. The charity gala, organized by Ethan, has invited almost all the influential people in the city. He needs this grand event to dispel the rumors of the attack on his villa and to declare to everyone that he, Ethan Hayes, is still the unshakable business tycoon of this city. He is dressed in a crisp, white Armani suit, the wound on his head carefully concealed by his hairstyle. A pair of gold-rimmed glasses adds a touch of scholarly elegance to his appearance. He moves through the crowd with ease, a flawless business smile plastered on his face. Sophia, like a proud butterfly, is on his arm in a couture evening gown, accepting the flattery and envious glances of the guests, like the lady of the house. Her belly is slightly swollen, her face radiating a maternal glow, as if she can already see her future as the wife of a wealthy man, her status secured by her son. Mr. Hayes, congratulations. I heard that Hayes Corporation's new drug is about to be launched. You're so young and successful. Miss Miller, you look stunning tonight. You and Mr. Hayes are a perfect match. Listening to these compliments, the last trace of unease in Ethan's heart vanishes. He enjoys this feeling of being looked up to. It makes him feel like the master of the universe. Just as the atmosphere of the banquet reaches its peak, and the host is about to invite Ethan to the stage to give a speech, the 2 heavy, gilded doors of the banquet hall are slowly pushed open from the outside. The ear-piercing creak of the doors instantly silences the entire hall. Everyone stops their conversations and turns to look at the entrance. All the lights in the hall seem to be drawn by an invisible force, instantly focusing on the doorway. A figure slowly walks in, silhouetted against the light. It is a woman in a simple, black velvet long dress. The dress has no extra embellishments, but it is more elegant than any of the other socialites' designer gowns. Her long hair is tied up in a loose, elegant bun, revealing a slender, fair neck. Her makeup is light, but she looks like a completely different person. The submissive, timid housewife is gone. In her place is a woman with cold eyes and a powerful aura. She walks with a calm and steady pace, as if this is not someone else's party, but her own territory. It is me, Eleanor Sterling. My appearance is like a stone thrown into a calm lake, instantly creating 1,000 ripples in the banquet hall. Isn't that Mrs. Hayes? I thought she was missing. Oh my God, why is she here? Looks like there's going to be a good show tonight. Ethan's pupils constrict the moment he sees me. The smile on his face freezes, replaced by a towering rage and a hint of panic. That bitch. How dare she come here? What is she doing here? Sophia's reaction is even more direct. Jealousy and hatred instantly make her lose her mind. She lets go of Ethan's arm and, in her 10-centimeter heels, storms towards me like a fighting hen. Eleanor, you have the audacity to show your face here? Her voice is shrill and harsh, instantly attracting everyone's attention. This is Ethan's party, not a place for a discarded wife like you. How did you get in? Security. She stands in front of me, looking me up and down with a condescending and disdainful gaze. Oh, you're even wearing an evening gown. This cheap thing must have cost you a lot, right? She sneers, then her eyes fall on the necklace around my neck. It is a necklace made of countless sparkling blue diamonds, with a heart-shaped diamond the size of a pigeon's egg in the center, radiating a dreamy, deep ocean blue light. The heart of the ocean, one of the Sterling family's most prized collectibles, is said to have been a royal heirloom of a certain European monarchy, and is priceless. Sophia's eyes are instantly drawn to the massive blue diamond, but jealousy quickly makes her even more venomous. Ha ha. How pathetic. You can't afford the real thing, so you wear a glass imitation to show off? She points at my necklace and shouts to the surrounding guests. Everyone, come and see! The former lady of the Hayes family is now so poor that she has to wear a fake to a party. She thinks her humiliation will make me want to crawl into a hole, that it will elicit laughter from the entire crowd. However, I just look at her quietly, a hint of pity in my eyes, as if I am watching a jumping clown. Miss Miller, I say slowly, my voice not loud, but it reaches everyone's ears. You say it's a fake? Isn't it? Sophia raises her chin smugly. Very well, I nod, my gaze sweeping over the guests and finally settling on a white-haired old man. I remember that Mr. Robert, the president of the International Gemological Institute, is also here tonight. Why don't we ask him to appraise it personally? The crowd erupts in a buzz. Mr. Robert is the world's top gemologist. His word is law in the industry. Mr. Robert, who has been called out, is taken aback for a moment. Then he slowly walks over amidst the stares of the crowd. When he sees the necklace around my neck, his usually calm eyes widen with shock and excitement. He doesn't even use any appraisal tools, just leans in for a closer look. Then, in a trembling voice filled with extreme excitement, he says, "My God, this is real. This is absolutely the heart of the ocean, which has been missing for nearly a century. I've seen a picture of it in the Royal Archives, but I never thought I'd be able to see it in person in my lifetime." The entire banquet hall explodes. Everyone looks at Sophia as if she is a madwoman. To question the authenticity of the heart of the ocean in front of Mr. Robert is like teaching a fish to swim, a self-inflicted humiliation. Sophia's face turns deathly pale in an instant. She looks at me in disbelief, then at Mr. Robert, her lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. Ethan's face is also extremely grim. He quickly walks over, trying to pull me away. "Eleanor, what the hell are you doing? Don't make a scene here," he hisses. I sidestep his hand. Make a scene? I look at him, the curve of my lips growing colder. "Mr. Hayes, have you forgotten who is really making a scene?" I ignore him and take out a document from my clutch, then walk to the center of the stage and take the microphone from the host. "Good evening, everyone." My voice booms through the speakers, reaching every corner of the hall. I apologize for interrupting your evening. I'm just here to clarify one thing. I hold up the document in my hand, a property deed with a red official seal. Mr. Hayes just said outside that I am a discarded wife who has been kicked out of the house. I pause, my eyes like daggers shooting at the livid Ethan. But I think Mr. Hayes may have forgotten that the ownership of this very villa we are in now, and every inch of land you are all standing on, has always been in my name, Eleanor Sterling. This is a prenuptial agreement that we signed before our marriage, in black and white, legally binding. So, my voice suddenly rises, filled with an unquestionable authority. It's not me who has been kicked out. It is I who am now asking two people who have nothing to do with this villa to get out of my house immediately. With that, I give a signal to the dozen or so black-suited security guards who have been waiting at the door. They immediately understand and rush in like a pack of wolves. Ignoring Ethan's roars and Sophia's screams, they grab them from both sides and, like two bags of garbage, drag them out of the banquet hall in front of all the stunned guests. The world is finally quiet. To be thrown out by the security guards he hired, at his own banquet, in front of all the city's elites, is a humiliation worse than death for the prideful Ethan Hayes. He stands outside the cold gates of the villa, which once belonged to him, the evening breeze cooling his enraged mind. He looks at the closed doors, his eyes filled with a venomous hatred. Eleanor. Eleanor. He grits his teeth, each word laced with a deep-seated hatred. You think you can take me down with a property deed? You're too naive. Sophia is crying beside him, her makeup ruined. Ethan, what are we going to do? We can't even go home now. My things, my Hermes bags are still in there. Stop crying. Ethan snaps at her impatiently. It's just a house. I, Ethan Hayes, can afford to lose it. Don't you worry. I'll make her pay for the humiliation we suffered tonight. 100 times, 1,000 times over. He takes out his phone and immediately calls his chief assistant, his voice as cold as if he wants to eat someone. Listen to me. From now on, use all the company's connections and resources to completely blacklist Eleanor Sterling. I want to make it impossible for her to find a job in this city, to get a credit card, to rent an apartment. I want her to come back to me on her knees, like a stray dog, begging for my forgiveness. He thinks I'm just a little clever with my prenuptial agreement, that I've only managed to get the villa. He thinks that if he cuts off all my financial resources, I'll be at his mercy in less than 3 devil. He hangs up the phone, a jungning, ferocious, smile returning to his face as he looks at his own dashing photo on his phone screen. You want to fight me? You're still too green. He takes Sophia to the city's most luxurious 7-star hotel and checks into the presidential suite. He needs this extravagant display to prove his undiminished power and to soothe the frightened Sophia. The next morning, when Ethan wakes up in a $1 million custom-made bed, he habitually picks up his phone to check the stock price of Hayes Corporation. However, when he sees the numbers on the screen, the laziness on his face instantly freezes. On the screen, next to the stock code for Hayes Corporation, is a string of glaring, heart-stopping green numbers. In just 10 minutes after the market opened, Hayes Corporation's stock price has plummeted, hitting the limit down. How is this possible? He bolts upright in bed, all sleepiness gone. Hayes Corporation is in a period of rapid growth, with the new drug about to be launched and a string of good news. The stock price has been steadily rising. How could it suddenly hit the limit down? He immediately calls the company's stock trader, and as soon as the call is connected, he barks, "What the hell is going on? Who is dumping the stock? I don't care about the cost. Pull the price back up." On the other end of the line, the trader's voice is on the verge of tears. "Mr. Hayes, it's not a dump. It's something big has happened. What's so big that it can make the stock hit the limit down?" A sense of foreboding rises in Ethan's heart. Our 3 biggest overseas raw material suppliers, Novartis from Switzerland, Bayer from Germany, and Pfizer from the US, have all unilaterally torn up their supply contracts with us at almost the same time. The trader's voice is trembling. They said that our company has been blacklisted by the global pharmaceutical industry due to force majeure. What? Ethan is struck by lightning, his phone almost slipping from his hand. These three suppliers hold the global exclusive supply rights for the core raw materials of Hayes Corporation's new drug. Without their supply, the new drug, which he had high hopes for, and which was supposed to bring in billions in profits, is now just a pile of useless paper. Impossible. I just had dinner with the Asia-Pacific president of Novartis last week. We signed a 10-year strategic cooperation agreement. On what grounds can they unilaterally terminate the contract? He roars hysterically. I don't know either, Mr. Hayes. The other party only sent a lawyer's letter. Their attitude is very firm. They'd rather pay 10 times the penalty than continue to cooperate with us. Ethan's head is buzzing. Before he can even digest this bad news, another call comes in. It is the company's CFO. Mr. Hayes, it's bad. The banks are calling in their loans. The CFO's voice is filled with despair. All our partner banks just called, demanding that we repay all our loans within 24 hours. Otherwise they will apply to the court to freeze all our company's assets. One piece of bad news after another, like a series of heavy hammers, relentlessly pounds on Ethan's chest, making it difficult for him to breathe. Suppliers cutting off supplies, banks calling in loans. This is pulling the rug out from under him. This is pushing Hayes Corporation to its death. Why? Why is this happening? He mutters to himself, unable to figure out who has such immense power to set up such a perfect trap in just one night. Just as he is on the verge of a breakdown, his private phone rings. It is an unknown number. He answers it, a sense of dread washing over him. On the other end of the line, a clear and lazy female voice that he will never forget for the rest of his life says, "Good morning, Mr. Hayes." "It's Eleanor. It's you. You did all this." Ethan instantly understands. He roars into the phone hysterically. "You poisonous woman! What kind of despicable tricks did you use?" "Despicable?" I chuckle on the other end of the line, my laughter filled with mockery and contempt. "Mr. Hayes, this isn't some despicable trick. This is called capital. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you." I pause, my voice becoming playful. The CEO of Novartis was my college senior. My mother's best friend is on the board of directors at Bayer. As for Pfizer, I'm sorry. The Sterling family is their biggest shareholder. And as for the banks, well, all the banks want to be friends with my brother. So, what do you think? Will they offend the Sterling family for your measly loan, or will they choose to cut ties with you? Ethan stands there, stunned. The phone slips from his hand and falls onto the carpet. The Sterling family. Again, the Sterling family. The name he had always thought was a bluff, the background he had always scoffed at, now weighs on his heart like an insurmountable mountain, making it difficult for him to even breathe. He finally realizes that he has not provoked a paper tiger, but a real, world-destroying prehistoric beast. And I am sitting in the top floor of the most high-end office building in Sterling City, sipping a freshly brewed Blue Mountain coffee, overlooking the bustling city through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. In front of me is a huge holographic screen, displaying the plunging stock price of Hayes Corporation in real time. Julian is sitting opposite me, leisurely flipping through a document. "Julian, what do you think his expression is right now?" I ask softly, blowing on the hot coffee. Julian doesn't even look up. "Probably the expression of someone who wants to die but doesn't dare to," he replies. I smile. "Ethan Hayes, this is just the beginning. Everything you took from me, I will make you spit it out, with interest." Ethan Hayes' world is collapsing. The double blow from suppliers and banks has brought Hayes Corporation, a seemingly indestructible business aircraft carrier, to the brink of sinking overnight. Like a caged beast, he paces restlessly in the presidential suite, constantly making calls. He tries to contact his business partners, who he used to call brothers, hoping to get some funds from them to tide over the current crisis. However, all he gets are perfunctory replies and rejections. "Hey, Mr. Lee, it's Ethan." "What? You're in a meeting?" Okay, you go ahead." "Mr. Chang, long time no see. It's me. The signal is bad. I can't hear you." "Hello? Hello? Director Wang, about my company's situation, you're saying you have to follow the regulations?" I understand. One call after another, all he gets is the merciless dial tone. The people who used to flatter him, who would have done anything to be on his good side, are now avoiding him like the plague. He finally realizes that he has been isolated. Under the invisible hand of the Sterling family, no one in the business world of Sterling City dares to lend him a helping hand anymore. In his desperation, he thinks of one last resort: transferring assets. Although Hayes Corporation is in crisis, there is still a large amount of liquid cash in the company's account. It is the money he had prepared for the research and development of the next new drug. As long as he can transfer this money to his secret overseas account, he will have a chance to make a comeback. He rushes to his computer, his hands trembling as he opens the company's financial system and inserts the highest level security key. However, when he enters the password and prepares to make the transfer, a completely unexpected image pops up on the screen. It is not the familiar banking interface, but a cute animation. A cartoon pig, wearing sunglasses, is happily driving a cartoon sports car on the screen. In the center of the screen, in a crooked, childish font, is a line of text. "Bad Daddy's money, Aiden has confiscated it." Ethan almost spits out a mouthful of blood on the screen. He rubs his eyes in disbelief and tries to log in again, but no matter what he does, the screen only shows the smug little pig. Aiden. Again, Aiden. He remembers his usually silent son, whose eyes are as deep as an adult's. A chill runs down his spine. He had always thought Aiden was just a quiet, ordinary child, but he never expected. Meanwhile, at the most prestigious international kindergarten in Sterling City, Aiden is sitting under a large banyan tree, holding a seemingly ordinary children's tablet. His small fingers are flying across the screen, a stream of data that ordinary people wouldn't understand flowing down like a waterfall. He first easily bypasses the supposedly impenetrable firewall of Hayes Corporation, as if he is strolling through his own backyard, then adds 18 layers of his own self-written, unbreakable password locks to the financial system. After all this, as if he is not satisfied, he goes on to hack into the internal publicity system of Hayes Corporation. At this moment, on the giant LED screen on the outside of the Hayes Corporation headquarters building, which is hundreds of square meters in size, the company's promotional video is suddenly interrupted. The screen flickers and then displays a high-definition video. The video is a compilation of Ethan Hayes and Sophia getting intimate in various places, from the hotel's underground parking lot to his private office to his living room. The explicitness of the video and the clarity of the images make the passers-by stop in their tracks and take out their phones to film this rare glimpse into the scandalous lives of the rich and famous. The company is in an uproar. All the employees' computers are forced to display the video at the same time. In an instant, everyone in the company, from the senior executives to the cleaning lady, sees the other side of their supposedly respectable boss. Ethan, who is in the conference room racking his brains on how to deal with the bank's demands for repayment, is still oblivious to all this. Until his assistant, his face ashen, rushes in and shoves his phone in front of him. On the phone is a live feed of the giant screen outside the company building. Ethan only needs one look to feel a darkness descend upon him, and he almost faints on the spot. He lets out a beastly roar and sweeps all the documents and computers off the table. Who did this? Who the hell did this? He roars, his eyes bloodshot, like a completely crazed lion. But no matter how angry he is, it is all in vain. The evil seeds he has sown are now bearing the most deadly fruit in his business empire, in the most unexpected way. And the mastermind behind all this, Aiden, after finishing his final act, satisfyingly puts away his tablet. He gets up from the grass, pats the grass clippings off his pants, and then, like any other child, runs towards the slide not far away. In the sunlight, his smile is innocent and bright. But no one knows that behind that innocent smile lies a cunning and powerful soul. Ethan Hayes' business empire is crumbling at a speed beyond anyone's imagination. The stock price has hit the limit down, suppliers have cut off their supplies, banks are calling in their loans, and the company is in a state of chaos due to the explicit video. The giant ship of Hayes Corporation is on the verge of sinking. As the other central figure in this storm, Sophia also senses that something is wrong. She is foolish, but not stupid. She can smell danger in Ethan's increasingly irritable temper and the unconcealable panic in his eyes. She begins to realize that Ethan, the big tree she has been relying on, is about to fall. So she starts to look for a way out. One night, while Ethan is out dealing with the mess, Sophia secretly returns to the villa in Cloudtop, which I have already taken back. She uses the spare key Ethan gave her to open the back door of the villa and sneaks into the master bedroom's walk-in closet. Here are all the gifts Ethan has given her over the past 2 years. From Hermès's limited edition Birkin bags to Cartier's full diamond bracelets and Patek Philippe's starry sky watches. Each one is worth a fortune. She greedily stuffs these jewels and designer bags into several pre-prepared suitcases. She plans to run away with these things and fly abroad to start a new life. She thinks she has done it without anyone knowing, but she doesn't know that from the moment she stepped into the villa, her every move has been clearly displayed on my screen through hidden cameras. I watch her sneaky, rat-like appearance on the screen, a cold smile on my lips. Julian nods and makes a call, saying only one word, go. The next morning, Sophia, dragging several heavy suitcases, wearing sunglasses and a mask, furtively arrives at the largest luxury pawn shop in Sterling City. She wants to cash in these things as soon as possible. The pawn shop manager's eyes widen when he sees the dazzling jewels. He warmly invites Sophia into the VIP room, but secretly calls the police. Because just yesterday, all the pawn shops in the city received an anonymous email. The email contained detailed photos and serial numbers of these jewels, with a note saying that they were all stolen property. Anyone who dared to buy them would face the consequences. Sophia has just taken a sip of the top-grade Da Hong Pao tea that the manager has served her when the door of the VIP room is kicked open from the outside. Several uniformed police officers rush in and, without a word, cuff her fair wrists with a pair of cold handcuffs. "Officer, you've got the wrong person." Sophia is completely stunned. She screams and struggles. "These are my own things. My boyfriend gave them to me." "Your boyfriend?" the lead officer sneers, taking out a stack of documents from his evidence bag. "We just received a report from Miss Eleanor Sterling, saying that she lent these jewels to your boyfriend, Ethan Hayes, for you to wear. Here are the detailed loan agreements, with Ethan Hayes' signature on them. You are now suspected of grand larceny. Please come with us to the police station for investigation." Loan agreements? Sophia's mind goes blank. She suddenly remembers that every time Ethan gave her a valuable gift, he would make her sign a so-called custody agreement, saying it was a standard procedure for the rich to avoid taxes. She was so blinded by love at the time that she signed it without a second thought. She never expected that it was not a custody agreement at all, but a death warrant prepared for her long ago. The interrogation room is lit by a pale, fluorescent light. Sophia sits in a chair, dejected, her exquisite makeup ruined by her tears. She looks pathetic and ridiculous. The door of the interrogation room is pushed open, and I slowly walk in. "Eleanor!" Sophia looks at me as if she has seen a ghost. She jumps up from her chair and tries to pounce on me, but is held back by the police officers behind her. "It's you! You designed all this! You bitch!" she curses hysterically. I ignore her madness and pull out the chair opposite her, sitting down gracefully. I take another document out of my bag and place it gently on the table, pushing it towards her. "Take a look," I say, my voice calm and emotionless. Sophia looks down suspiciously. When she sees the bold, black letters at the top of the document, her pupils constrict. "DNA paternity test report." What is this?" Her voice begins to tremble. "It's about the child in your belly," I say faintly. "You thought you were pregnant with Ethan Hayes' son? That you would be able to live a life of luxury? Your status secured by your child?" I pause, looking at her blood-drained face, and cruelly reveal the final truth. "Unfortunately, your driver had an accident a few days ago and needed a blood transfusion. The hospital did a paternity test while they were checking his blood type. The result shows that the so-called heir of the Hayes family in your belly has a 99% kinship with our driver." A bomb seems to have exploded in Sophia's head. She looks at me in disbelief, then at the test report, her whole body shaking violently. "No, impossible. This is not true. You forged this. You must have forged this. She shakes her head frantically, trying to deny this fact that will send her to eternal damnation. I look at her with pity, as if I am looking at a clown. Forged? I chuckle. Sophia, you can't be so naive as to think that you could have an affair with that driver in the underground parking lot every time and avoid all the surveillance cameras, right? I take out my phone, play a video, and place it in front of her. The video shows her and the driver in the nanny van, engaged in an obscene act. Sophia's screams stop abruptly. She slumps into the chair, her eyes vacant, muttering to herself, "It's over. It's all over." I stand up and look down at her, as if I am judging a sinner. Sophia, do you know what I hate the most? It's not your greed, nor your stupidity. It's that you should never, ever have touched my son. Grand larceny, plus fraud for the child in your belly. I think that's enough to keep you in there until you're old and wrinkled. With that, I walk out of the interrogation room without another glance at her. I know that Ethan will soon receive this big gift I have carefully prepared for him. Ethan receives the paternity test report in his office. It is an anonymous express delivery, with only a thin piece of paper inside. When he sees the contents, the cold conclusion of paternity excluded, he feels all the blood in his body rush to his head. The love he had always been so proud of has become a huge joke. The heir he had been looking forward to is a bastard from an unknown source. For this woman, for this bastard, he had personally locked me, the mother of his own son, Aiden, in a 40-degree freezer, almost killing me. A sweet liquid surges up his throat. He can no longer hold it back, and a mouthful of blood sprays onto the white test report, staining the glaring conclusion red. Like a mad beast, he smashes everything in his office. The sound of shattering glass, the sound of tearing documents, mixed with his desperate and painful roars, echoes in the empty floor. His company is bankrupt. His lover has betrayed him. He has been abandoned by everyone. In just a few days, he has fallen from the clouds into the mud, losing everything. No, he hasn't lost everything yet. After smashing everything and exhausting his last bit of strength, Ethan collapses to the floor, panting like a dead dog. His eyes are bloodshot, the arrogance of the past gone, replaced by a morbid obsession of someone who has been cornered. He suddenly remembers something, like a drowning man grabbing at the last straw. He still has one last resort, his biggest and final trump card. Mr. Thompson, the godfather of the city's underworld. This Mr. Thompson is a true red-top businessman, with connections that reach the highest levels of power. Ethan's father had once saved Mr. Thompson's life, and Mr. Thompson therefore owed the Hayes family a huge favor. The reason why Ethan was able to rise so quickly in the business world was also due to Mr. Thompson's secret support. This is a connection he dares not to use easily, because a favor used once is a favor gone. But now, he has no other choice. He struggles to his feet and pulls out a phone number that he only dares to dial on holidays and special occasions, a number he has saved as heaven. With trembling fingers, he presses the call button. The phone rings for a long time before it is answered. A deep, authoritative voice comes from the other end. Mr. Thompson. Ethan's voice is humbled to the dust. It's me. I'm Ethan Hayes, son of Ethan Hayes Sr. There is a moment of silence on the other end of the line, as if the man is trying to recall the name. "Oh, it's you." Mr. Thompson's tone is nonchalant. "What is it?" "Mr. Thompson, save me. Please, save me." Ethan drops to his knees, crying into the phone. "I've offended a woman. She's trying to destroy me. My company, my money, it's all gone. Mr. Thompson, you have to help me, for my father's sake." "A woman?" Mr. Thompson's voice has a hint of disdain. "What woman has such power?" "Her name is Eleanor Sterling. She said her surname is Sterling. She said the Sterling family." Before Ethan can finish, Mr. Thompson cuts him off. "The Sterling family?" For the first time, there is a hint of gravity in Mr. Thompson's voice. "Which Sterling family?" I don't know. I only know she has a brother named Julian Sterling. He's very powerful." "Julian Sterling," Mr. Thompson mutters the name, and the other end of the line falls into a long silence. Ethan's heart is in his throat. He can even hear his own frantic heartbeat. After what seems like an eternity, Mr. Thompson's voice comes through again, but this time, his tone is filled with a chilling coldness that sends a shiver down Ethan's spine. I see. I'll handle this for you. Really? Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Ethan is overjoyed, kowtowing frantically. But, Ethan, Mr. Thompson's tone changes. You must remember, this is the last time. From now on, the Hayes family's favor is repaid. I understand. Ethan hastily agrees. As long as he can get through this crisis, as long as he can make a comeback, he would give up not just a favor, but even his own life. After hanging up the phone, Ethan collapses to the floor, a twisted smile of a survivor on his face. Eleanor, you bitch, just you wait, he mutters to himself. When I get back on my feet, I'll make you wish you were dead. He thinks that with Mr. Thompson's help, everything will be resolved. He doesn't know that his call for help has not only failed to pull him out of the abyss, but has also pushed himself and his so-called godfather into a bottomless pit of eternal damnation. That afternoon, I am on the hospital lawn, basking in the sun with Aiden, when Julian's call comes in. The Thompsons have made their move, he says calmly. I narrow my eyes, watching Aiden chase a butterfly in the distance. A little faster than I expected, I say faintly. He used his connections in Washington, D.C. to get the feds involved. They're coming to seize all your assets under the charges of malicious acquisition and disruption of financial order, and they're going to take you in for questioning. Oh, I raise an eyebrow. He wants to use me as a hostage to negotiate with you? He doesn't have the guts for that, Julian scoffs. He just wants to use the official power to warn us, to tell us not to go too far, and to protect that dog, Ethan Hayes. Julian, I look at Aiden's innocent smile and ask softly, what happens when an ant tries to provoke an elephant? There is a moment of silence on the other end of the line, then Julian's voice, filled with a cruel affection, says, it probably gets squashed into nothing. I smile. Then let them come. Half an hour later, a dozen or so black official cars with D.C. license plates silently pull up in front of the hospital's VIP ward. The doors open, and a group of men in black suits, with serious expressions that clearly indicate they are not ordinary police officers, get out of the cars. The leader is a man in his 50s, with a square face and sharp eyes. He is the very Mr. Thompson that Ethan had called, Richard Thompson. Richard Thompson, surrounded by local officials and the hospital director, strides into the hospital building. Behind him are the elite agents from the FBI's Washington, D.C. headquarters. They are holding seizure warrants and arrest warrants with official red seals, their presence exuding an intimidating aura. Mr. Thompson, don't worry, we will fully cooperate with your work, the hospital director says, constantly wiping the sweat from his forehead. Richard Thompson waves his hand, signaling him to be quiet. He is here today to use a lightning-fast approach to resolve this matter. He wants to let that arrogant woman from the Sterling family know that this is America, not a place where they can do whatever they want. Soon, the group arrives at the top floor where my ward is located. Two black-suited bodyguards at the door raise their hands to stop them. I'm sorry. Without the lady's permission, no one is allowed to enter. The bodyguard's voice is robotic, devoid of any emotion. An FBI agent behind Richard Thompson immediately steps forward and barks, "Insolent! We are the FBI, on official business. You dare to obstruct justice? Do you want to be arrested too?" He reaches out to push the bodyguard aside. However, before his hand can even touch the bodyguard's clothes, he feels a sharp pain in his wrist. An irresistible force twists his arm, and his body is spun around and slammed against the wall, his hands cuffed behind his back. The whole process is as fast as lightning, and no one present even sees what happened. You dare to assault a federal agent? The restrained agent says, shocked and angry. Richard Thompson's face instantly darkens. He didn't expect the other party's men to be so audacious as to attack an agent in front of him. "Stop!" he says, in a low voice. The bodyguard releases the agent, but still stands guard at the door like a statue, not moving an inch. A ruthless glint flashes in Richard Thompson's eyes. He gives a signal to his men, and several FBI agents immediately draw their guns, their black muzzles aimed at the two bodyguards. The atmosphere outside the ward instantly becomes tense and explosive. Just then, the door of the ward is slowly opened from the inside. I walk out, holding Aiden's hand. I don't even look at the men pointing their guns at me, just glance at Richard Thompson. "Mr. Thompson, right?" I say. My tone is calm, as if I am asking a neighbor if he has eaten. "Such a big fuss. Are you here to visit a patient? Unfortunately, you're not welcome here." Richard Thompson is surprised that a young woman like me can be so calm in the face of so many guns. He is secretly impressed, but he still maintains a stern expression. "Miss Sterling," he takes the arrest warrant from his subordinate and holds it up in front of me. "We now suspect you of being involved in several serious economic crimes. Please come with us for investigation." "Investigation?" I say, as if I have heard something funny. "On what grounds? On the basis of this?" Richard Thompson holds the arrest warrant closer, his tone brooking no argument. "This is the authority granted to us by the state." "State authority?" I smile, a cold smile. "Mr. Thompson, are you mistaken? Does your so-called state authority have any jurisdiction over me?" Richard Thompson's brows furrow. "Miss Sterling, I advise you not to refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. I know you have some connections, but in the face of the state apparatus, any personal power is just a futile attempt to stop a chariot with a mantis's arm." He speaks with righteous indignation, as if he is the embodiment of justice. However, just as he finishes his words, the deafening roar of a helicopter's rotors suddenly comes from above the hospital. Everyone instinctively looks up. A pitch-black, unfamiliar model of an armed helicopter is hovering over the roof of the hospital building. Then, in front of everyone's shocked eyes, a rope is thrown down from the helicopter, and a figure slides down the rope like a special forces soldier in a movie, landing steadily on the balcony of our floor. It is Julian. Behind him are a dozen or so fully armed mercenaries, and a team of blonde-haired, blue-eyed foreigners in suits. After landing, Julian doesn't even glance at Richard Thompson. He walks straight to me and asks with concern, "Are you all right?" I shake my head. Only then does he turn around, his cold eyes falling on Richard Thompson's slightly pale, shocked face. "Richard Thompson, is it?" Julian takes a document from the leader of the foreign team and throws it in Richard Thompson's face like a piece of garbage. "Open your dog eyes and see what this is." Richard Thompson is flustered by the document hitting his face. He instinctively catches it and looks down. It is a document issued by the highest diplomatic council of the European Union, with a steel seal that he has only ever seen in the news, representing the highest authority. The content of the document is simple, but it makes Richard Thompson, a man who has seen it all, feel a chill run down his spine, his hands and feet going numb. This is to certify that Miss Eleanor Sterling is a core member of the Sterling royal family of Northern Europe. According to the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, she enjoys full diplomatic immunity within the territory of the United States. Diplomatic immunity, royal family member. These words explode in Richard Thompson's mind like a series of heavy bombs. He can no longer stand steadily and stumbles back a few steps, hitting the wall hard to keep from falling. He finally understands what kind of terrifying existence he has provoked. It is not some influential businessman. It is an ancient and powerful superfamily that is above the laws of ordinary countries. Now, Julian's voice is like a judgment from the depths of hell. "You tell me. You want to touch her? Are you declaring war on the entire Sterling family?" Richard Thompson's lips tremble. Cold sweat has soaked his back. He looks at Julian, then at me, unable to utter a single word. His FBI agents are also stunned, silently putting away their guns. In the face of absolute, crushing power, their so-called state authority has become a ridiculous, overconfident joke. Richard Thompson's retreat is even faster than his arrival. He doesn't dare to say another word and leaves the hospital with his men in a hurry. The arrest warrant he had treasured so much is left on the corridor floor like a hot potato. This news soon reaches Ethan Hayes, who is anxiously waiting for good news in the hotel. "What? Mr. Thompson failed?" Ethan listens to his subordinate's report on the phone in disbelief, feeling as if he has been plunged into an ice cave. Diplomatic immunity. Royal family member. These words are like a fantasy to him. He cannot connect these lofty titles with the submissive wife who had been at his beck and call for 10 years. But the facts are right in front of him, and he has no choice but to believe them. It's over. It's all over. He hangs up the phone dejectedly and collapses onto the sofa, his eyes vacant, all hope lost. His last resort has crumbled. No, it hasn't crumbled. It hasn't even had a chance to be used before it was slapped back by the other party. He finally understands that the gap between him and Eleanor is not money, not status, but a dimensional difference. He is like a self-righteous frog at the bottom of a well, and Eleanor is the vast sky he can never imagine. A huge sense of fear and despair engulfs him like a tide. But in this extreme despair, a more extreme, self-destructive madness is born. He has lost completely, but he is not reconciled. Why? Why should everything he has worked so hard for be destroyed just like that? Why should his dream of being a man of power be so mercilessly crushed? It's all because of Eleanor. It's all because of that woman who has deceived him for 10 years. What he can't have, he will destroy. An evil thought grows wildly in his heart, which has already been twisted by hatred and jealousy. Eleanor cares about that little bastard, doesn't she? That little bastard Aiden is her life, isn't he? Fine, then I'll use his life to make one last deal with her. A terrifying, gambler-like madness gleams in Ethan's eyes. He starts to sell everything of value on him, his watch, his cufflinks, even his expensive suit. He uses the money he gets to hire a group of desperados through some shady channels. These are ruthless men who have lived on the edge, who would do anything for money. He has only one request: kidnap Aiden. He will use Aiden's life to threaten Eleanor, to force her to hand over everything that can help him make a comeback. He has gone mad, completely mad. He is like a gambler who has lost all his chips, and he is now betting his last, and most dirty, stake. He thinks that this last desperate act will give him a chance to survive. He doesn't know that the moment he sets his sights on Aiden, he has already booked himself a place in the deepest part of hell, and I have already seen through all his thoughts. Ma'am, we have monitored Ethan Hayes hiring the Vulture mercenary group. The target is the young master. One of my subordinates reports to me. Vulture, Julian, who is beside me, raises an eyebrow, a hint of disdain in his eyes. A bunch of third-rate garbage. He wants to kidnap Aiden? I ask softly, my voice betraying no emotion. Yes, he probably wants to use the young master to threaten you. I smile, a cold smile. He really won't give up until he sees the coffin. I look at the night view of Sterling City outside the window, prosperous and dazzling. Julian, I say slowly, don't you think it's time to prepare a grand finale for this farce? Julian comes to my side and hands me a glass of red wine. The stage has been set for a long time. He clinks his glass with mine, his eyes gleaming with the same hunter-like excitement as mine. Now we just have to wait for the main character to walk onto the stage himself. And so, a huge net of despair, tailor-made for Ethan Hayes, is quietly spread. I deliberately create a loophole in Aiden's supposedly impenetrable security. The next day, when Aiden's exclusive nanny van is on its way to the kindergarten, a truck, disguised as a sanitation vehicle, suddenly rushes out from the side and brutally forces the nanny van to a stop. The door of the truck opens, and several masked men with weapons rush out. They are well trained and move quickly. In just a few dozen seconds, they subdue the driver and the bodyguard in the car. Of course, they are all our people acting, and then snatch Aiden from the car, stuff him into the truck, and drive away. The entire process is clearly filmed by one of Ethan's spies disguised as a passerby. Half an hour later, Ethan, who is anxiously waiting in an abandoned warehouse, receives the video. Looking at the video of Aiden being successfully kidnapped, he bursts into a crazy and triumphant laughter. Eleanor, let's see how you're going to fight me this time. He immediately calls me. The moment the call is connected, I can even hear Ethan's heavy breathing, a result of his extreme excitement. Eleanor. His voice is hoarse and twisted, filled with a sense of vengeful pleasure. Your precious son is in my hands now. I cooperate and let out a panicked scream on the phone, my voice filled with just the right amount of trembling and crying. Ethan Hayes, you bastard! What have you done to Aiden? If you dare to touch a single hair on his head, I will never let you go. My fear seems to give him great satisfaction. He laughs wildly on the other end of the line, his laughter shrill and piercing. Ha 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 ha. Now you're scared? It's too late. I'm telling you, if you want your son to live, you'd better do as I say. First, hold a press conference immediately and announce that everything before was a misunderstanding and apologize to me and the media. Second, transfer all your assets, down to the last penny, to the account I specify. I'm only giving you 3 hours. Otherwise, you can wait to collect your little bastard's corpse. How do I know if Aiden is safe? I ask, my voice laced with tears. I'll make you believe it. Ethan sends me a photo. In the photo, Aiden is tied to a chair, his eyes blindfolded, looking pitiful. Of course, it's just a staged photo taken by our agent to cooperate with him. At this moment, Aiden is sitting in the next room, eating Haagen-Dazs and watching his father's clumsy performance on his tablet with great interest. Give me the address. I'll go right now, I shout eagerly. Nice try, Ethan says cautiously. You come alone with the signed share transfer agreement to Pier 7 on the west side of the city. Remember, no police. If there's one extra person in your car, I'll kill him immediately. With that, he hangs up the phone smugly. I put down the phone, the panic on my face instantly replaced by a cold, murderous aura. Julian, he took the bait. Julian is standing behind me. He bows slightly, like an elegant gentleman. Ma'am, the stage is set. All the actors are in place. His voice has a hint of excitement. The show can begin at any time. Very well. I stand up, take off my house clothes, and change into a smart, black trench coat. Notify everyone. Close the net. My voice is like the judgment of the god of death. Tonight, I will change the sky of this city's underworld. Pier 7, on the west side of the city. This is the most chaotic area of Sterling City, with abandoned warehouses, rusty containers, and the air filled with the smell of fish and diesel. Ethan and the vulture mercenaries he hired are hiding in a huge warehouse. Aiden, of course, an agent in disguise, is tied to a pillar in the center of the warehouse, a cloth stuffed in his mouth. Ethan is holding a dagger and gesturing at Aiden's face, his eyes gleaming with madness. He is already fantasizing about me kneeling at his feet, handing over all my wealth. The pleasure in his heart has reached its peak. Boss, will that woman really come alone? A mercenary asks with some concern. Ethan scoffs. Don't worry, that kid is her life. She would be willing to die for him, let alone come alone. Just then, the huge iron door of the warehouse creaks open. I walk in alone, my high heels clicking on the floor of the empty warehouse, the sound echoing clearly. Eleanor, you really dare to come alone, Ethan says, looking at me as if I am his trophy, his eyes filled with excitement. Where is my son? I look at him coldly, my face filled with the anxiety a mother should have. Your son is fine. Ethan pats Aiden's cheek with his dagger. Where's the share transfer agreement? Did you bring it? I hold up the document in my hand. I brought it. Very good, Ethan gives a signal to the mercenary leader. Go and check it. The mercenary leader, known as Boss, walks towards me with a lecherous smile, followed by 2 of his men with steel pipes. Little lady, you're quite a looker, he says, eyeing me up and down. Hand over the stuff, or we'll let you have a taste of our brother's skills today. I stand still, watching them approach, my eyes showing no fear, only a pity for the dead. Just as the mercenary leader's hand is about to touch the document, a series of gunshots rings out. The tops of the containers stacked around the warehouse suddenly explode open, but it's not the police who jump out, but groups of soldiers in black combat gear, with assault rifles and night vision goggles, looking like gods of death. Their movements are as fast as lightning, and they immediately form a battle formation upon landing, their black muzzles instantly locking onto everyone in the warehouse. Then, a dozen or so powerful flashlights are turned on at the same time, illuminating the entire warehouse as bright as day. The vulture mercenaries, a bunch of rabble, have never seen such a scene. They are scared out of their wits, their steel pipes clattering to the ground. Some of them are even so scared that they wet their pants. Ethan is also stunned, the triumphant smile on his face instantly frozen. The mercenary leader, after all, has seen some action. He forces himself to stay calm and roars, Who? Who are you people? Don't you know who we are? Before he can finish, Julian's cold voice cuts him off. Julian has appeared on the top beam of the warehouse at some point. He looks down at the ants below him as if they are dead things. Vulture, he scoffs, his voice full of contempt. A bunch of stray dogs that we chased like rats in the Iraqi battlefield dare to cause trouble on my Sterling family's turf? He snaps his fingers, and a volley of gunshots erupts. But it is not a gunfight. It is a one-sided, merciless slaughter. The Sterling family's most elite night guard team, with their firepower that can tear everything apart, completely wipes out the Vulture mercenary group from this world in just a few dozen seconds. The entire warehouse is instantly filled with the thick smell of blood. Ethan collapses to the ground, looking at the hellish scene in front of him, his mind a complete blank, completely unable to think. I slowly walk to him, crouch down, and take the dagger from his trembling, fear-stricken hand. Then, in front of him, I gently cut the ropes that bind Aiden. The show is over, I say, one word at a time. The Aiden, who has been untied, deftly jumps down from the pillar. He doesn't cry like a frightened child. Instead, he skillfully removes the miniature communication device from his body and gives a standard military salute to Julian on the top of the warehouse. Reporting, sir, the toddler mission is complete. Ethan stares blankly at this scene, his already confused mind completely short-circuiting. At this moment, the side door of the warehouse is pushed open, and the real Aiden, dressed in a handsome little suit, walks in with a steady pace. He is playing with a stun gun that looks like a toy, but Ethan knows it is far from simple. The few kidnappers who were supposed to be guarding him are now lying outside the door, foaming at the mouth. Aiden walks to my side, pulls my hand, then raises his head and looks at the Tandod's ID. Paralyzed on the ground, Ethan with his black, obsidian-like eyes. He doesn't call him Daddy. His gaze is as cold and distant as if he is looking at a piece of garbage. Ethan finally realizes that from the very beginning, he has been nothing but a clown, played with in the palm of someone's hand. His so-called luring the enemy into a trap was just him blindly walking into a trap set for him. Why? He mutters to himself, as if he has gone mad. I walk towards him slowly, one step at a time, my high heels clicking on the blood-stained floor, each step a death knell. I stand in front of him, looking down at his pale face. Ethan Hayes, you still don't understand, do you? My voice is as cold as frost, devoid of any emotion. 10 years ago, you knelt before me and said you loved me, that you would give me the world. You said you had a great dream, to build your own pharmaceutical empire, to save lives. I thought I had found the man I could entrust my life to. So I hid my identity from my family, gave up my status, and came to this strange city with you, starting from scratch. You thought the first $50 million in angel investment your company received was from some blind investor who saw your talent? I scoff, as if mocking his naivety. That money was from my pocket money. I invested it anonymously. You thought you overcame all the fatal crises in your entrepreneurial process with your wisdom and luck? The person who silently cleared all the obstacles for you, who made your path smooth, was my brother, Julian Sterling. You thought I was just a clueless housewife who depended on you? Ethan Hayes, you were wrong. Everything you have, your company, your status, your wealth, every penny you used to keep your mistress and live a life of luxury was given to you by me. It was a gift from the Sterling family. I raised you from a penniless boy to the business tycoon of this city. I thought my devotion would be rewarded with your true love. But what did I get in return? My voice suddenly rises, filled with 10 years of suppressed, towering anger and disappointment. What I got in return was you personally locking me in a 40-degree freezer, wanting me and my child to die in there. Ethan Hayes, you always thought I was an orphan with no one to care for me. In fact, I was just a princess who ran away from home to experience the love of an ordinary person. It was you who personally turned your good fortune into your death sentence. Every word I say is like a sharp knife, ruthlessly stabbing into Ethan Hayes' heart, tearing his pathetic, lie-built pride and arrogance to shreds. He looks up, his once ambitious eyes now filled with only emptiness and despair. He looks at me, the woman he has slept with for 10 years but has never truly known, his lips trembling, unable to make a sound, like a fish out of water. He had always thought he was the king who controlled the chessboard, but today he finally realizes that he was just a pawn on someone else's board, a clown who has been kept in the dark from the very beginning. What he despised was what he relied on. What he loathed was what he looked up to. This complete subversion of his cognition is more cruel than any torture. His spirit is completely crushed by me in this moment. Looking at Ethan Hayes' dejected, zombie-like appearance, I feel no sympathy at all. I will not kill him so easily. Physical death would be a release for him. What I want is for his humanity to be completely torn apart and drowned in endless despair. Bring him, and that woman, over here, I command coldly. Soon, 2 members of the night guard drag a trembling woman over. It is Sophia. She should have been in the detention center, awaiting trial. But with the power of the Sterling family, getting someone out of a local detention center is just a matter of a word. When Sophia sees the hellish scene in the warehouse, especially the 2 god of death-like men standing behind me, she is so scared that her face turns pale and her legs go weak. She is almost dragged over. "No, what are you doing?" She screams when she sees Ethan's pathetic state, her soul almost leaving her body. I ignore her screams and just nod to Julian. Julian understands. He claps his hands, and several members of the night guard immediately get to work. They push a huge iron cage, welded from special steel, to the center of the warehouse. Then, they lift the completely stunned Ethan and the still struggling Sophia, like 2 chickens, and throw them into the same cage. Then they lock the cage door. "Eleanor, you crazy woman! What are you doing?" Ethan seems to have recovered from his shock. He grabs the iron bars and roars at me frantically. I slowly walk to the cage and look at the once loving couple through the cold bars. What am I doing? I smile, a strange and cruel smile in the dim light of the warehouse. Of course, I'm playing a game. I take a gleaming dagger from one of the night guard members and throw it into the cage through the gap in the bars. The dagger clatters to the ground between Ethan and Sophia. This game is very simple. My voice is like the whisper of a devil, clearly reaching their ears. This cage will be submerged in the sea in a moment, and this knife is your only chance. I pause, looking at their faces, which have instantly turned pale with fear, the curve of my lips growing wider. Only one of you can walk out of here alive with this knife. Of course, you can also choose to do nothing and sink to the bottom of the sea to feed the fish together. Now, the game begins. With that, I step back a few steps, cross my arms, and watch with great interest the drama of human nature that is about to unfold in the cage. At first, Ethan and Sophia are both stunned. They look at each other, then at the gleaming dagger on the ground, their eyes filled with suspicion and fear. Ethan, he's just trying to scare us, right? Sophia's voice trembles. She shrinks towards Ethan, trying to find some comfort. However, Ethan shoves her away as if he has been stung by a scorpion. His eyes are fixed on the dagger on the ground, his Adam's apple bobbing up and down, a primitive, beastly desire for survival gleaming in his eyes. "Ethan, you!" Sophia looks at him in disbelief. Just then, a long whistle comes from outside the warehouse. A huge cargo ship slowly approaches the pier. A huge crane on the ship is slowly turning towards their cage. This is what I have arranged in advance. Seeing this, Sophia finally understands that I am not joking. I am really going to sink them into the sea. The instinct for survival instantly overwhelms everything else. She screams and, like a madwoman, pounces on the dagger. However, Ethan is faster. He is, after all, a man, and he has a physical advantage. He kicks Sophia to the ground, then quickly picks up the dagger and holds it tightly in his hand. "Ethan, give me the knife!" Sophia scrambles to her feet, her hair disheveled, looking like a madwoman. "I'm pregnant with your child! How could you?" "Shut up!" Ethan points the dagger at her, his face contorted in a ferocious snarl. "You bitch! You know damn well whose bastard you're carrying. You lied to me. You ruined everything for me. And now, you want to fight me for a chance to live? Dream on! The two of them completely tear off their masks and, in the small cage, bite and curse at each other like two cornered beasts. One is for survival, the other is also for survival. Their past vows of love have now become a huge joke in the face of death. Finally, when the crane's hook latches onto the cage and slowly lifts them off the ground, Ethan's sanity is completely devoured by his desire for survival. He looks at the deep, dark, cold sea below him, a final madness erupting in his eyes. Ah! He lets out an inhuman roar, raises the dagger in his hand, and, without hesitation, ruthlessly stabs the woman he had once sworn to love and protect for the rest of his life, but who has now become the biggest obstacle on his path to survival. The sound of the dagger piercing flesh is clearly audible. Sophia's body stiffens. She looks down in disbelief at the dagger buried halfway in her chest, then looks up at Ethan's ferocious face. Her eyes are filled with venom and unwillingness. She opens her mouth as if to say something, but in the end, she only spits out a mouthful of blood and collapses, her life completely gone. And Ethan, after killing someone, instead of feeling fear, he lets out a crazy laugh of a survivor. I watch all this quietly, my face devoid of any expression. I say to Julian beside me, "Go on, throw him down. No, you can't do this. You said only one of us could survive." Ethan's laughter stops abruptly. He screams in terror. "I did say that." I look at him and say faintly, "But I never said the one who survives is you. You've killed someone. Now let the law judge you." Amidst Ethan's desperate curses, the cage is thrown heavily into the cold sea. Of course, I won't let him drown just like that. A few minutes later, a few members of the night guard, disguised as fishermen who happen to be passing by, will rescue him from the sea and then send him to where he belongs. A huge storm that is enough to shake the entire city's power structure comes to an end on this bloody night, with a thunderous force. Although Ethan is rescued from the sea, what awaits him is an abyss more painful than death. He is found guilty of intentional homicide, with conclusive evidence, and is sentenced to life imprisonment. And the commercial crimes he had committed are also brought to light. Hayes Corporation is forced into bankruptcy and liquidation, all its assets frozen to repay the huge bank loans and suppliers' penalties. He not only loses everything, but also carries a debt of tens of billions. In prison, he receives special care from the Sterling family. The more glorious he was, the more miserable he is now. It is said that he has completely lost his mind, and every day in his cell, he repeats two sentences: "I was wrong, and she is a princess." As for the Thompson family, after my brother Julian's personal visit, their fate is not much better than Ethan's. Richard Thompson is secretly disciplined for multiple serious violations of discipline and treason. His entire family behind him disappears from the center of power in Washington, D.C., overnight, as if they had never existed. Sterling City has also undergone an unprecedented business reshuffle. The forces that had once attached themselves to Ethan Hayes and the Thompson family have been uprooted, replaced by new forces supported by the Sterling Group. The city's business order, after a brief period of pain, is reestablished. Only this time, the rulemaker has changed. After handling all the loose ends in the country, I do not stay any longer. For me, this city is just a brief stop in my life. I came here to find a pure love, and I leave to start a new life. A week later, at the private tarmac of Sterling City International Airport, the Sterling family's private jet, the Snow Falcon, is quietly waiting for its owner. I hold Aiden's hand and slowly walk up the ramp. Julian is standing at the cabin door. He is not wearing his signature black trench coat today, but a casual white suit, which makes him look less sharp and more sunny. "Are you really sure you're not coming back?" he asks me. I turn around and take one last look at the city where I have lived for 10 years. In the sunlight, the skyscrapers reflect a cold light. This place holds my most beautiful dreams and my most painful scars. Now that the dream is over and the scars have healed, it is time to leave. I turn back to look at Julian and smile faintly. This place is too small. I look down, stroke Aiden's head, and say softly, "Aiden's stage is the whole world." Aiden looks up, his eyes, which are so much like Julian's, sparkling with anticipation for the future. He doesn't say anything, just nods heavily. Julian smiles. He opens his arms and gives me a big hug. Go, he whispers in my ear. Remember, no matter where you are, no matter what you do, home will always be your strongest support. I know. I pat his back, my eyes a little wet. I take Aiden into the cabin. The plane slowly taxis, then accelerates, and finally, like a proud phoenix, soars into the sky. I look through the window at the city that is getting smaller and smaller below, my heart filled with peace. I once thought that my life was over when Ethan pushed me into that cold darkness. But now I know that was not death, it was a rebirth. The plane passes through the clouds, leaving all the past behind. Ahead is the azure sky at an altitude of 10,000 meters, the vast and boundless world, a brand new journey that belongs to me, Eleanor Sterling, and my son, Aiden Sterling. I am no longer anyone's wife, no longer anyone's accessory. I am Eleanor Sterling, Aiden's mother, and more importantly, my own queen.